Joining me now, John Pistol, Administrator for the Transportation Security Administration. Thanks for joining us for what I know is not the most fun part of your job, so I appreciate it. I wanted to, Hillary Clinton was on a couple of shows today. She's in Portugal at this point with the president. She was asked about these new enhanced security measures, and she said she understands how offensive it might be. She says there is a need for the government to strike the right balance and to get it better and less intrusive and more precise. She was asked if she would submit to a pat-down, and she said, not if I could avoid it. I mean, no, who would? She then said that the government security experts are, quote, looking for ways to diminish the impact on the traveling public. In what ways are you looking? Are you looking for ways to calm this uproar and change what's going on?
There are a number of issues here, obviously, Candy, that we are addressing. The most focused is on what the current threat environment is. Given the current threat stream, being informed by the latest intelligence, we know that we face a determined enemy who has been adept at devising and concealing explosive devices, bombs that will target not only aviation in terms of commercial aircraft, but also cargo aircraft, as we saw in Yemen recently. So absolutely right. The challenge is, how do we balance the security that everybody wants? Everybody wants to make sure they get to their destination safely, with the privacy that everybody wants also. How do we find that precise blend for each person?
Do you think you have it?
I think it is situational, frankly. So for you, you may say, I want this level of security because I want to know that everybody else on that plane has been screened thoroughly. Somebody else may say, well, I would rather manage some risk and say, I don't want that thorough of screening, so I would rather take a higher risk. So that's, I think, just a public policy debate. For us in TSA, it comes down to how do we give the highest level of confidence to everybody on that flight that everybody else has been properly screened, including you and me.
Well, I'm asking the question because the Secretary of State seemed to indicate, in saying we're looking for ways to diminish the impact on the traveling public, seems to be slightly in conflict with your saying, I'm not changing this, what you said to Congress. So is something changed?
Well, so the construct is that TSA is really the last line of defense for the U.S. government in trying to keep the traveling public safe. So we hope to be informed by all the latest intelligence, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure that we have all available techniques and technology to provide the best level of security, knowing that there's no 100% guarantee here. So if all the other levels or layers of security have not worked and somebody literally gets to the airport and is able to get past behavior detection officers, all the information we have about the travelers, the watch lists, and all those things. If somebody's actually able to get to an airport with a bomb that is non-metallic, so it's not going to alert a walk-through metal detector, then the AIT, the Advanced Imaging Technology Machine, gives us the best opportunity to detect that device. But if somebody, and everybody has the right to opt out of that, if they do opt out, we just want to make sure, for example, on Christmas Day, that if they do opt out, they receive a thorough pat-down so they don't pose a risk to that plane.
I guess I just want to try one more time. She seems to indicate that you are looking for ways to make these pat-downs less onerous, to make these, or to make these full-scan body machines seem less intrusive, the whole, strip search, electronic strip search. Is that happening? Are you looking for ways to make the pat-down less onerous?
Well, let me start by saying that very few people actually receive the pat-down. In spite of all the public furor about this, very few
but
people
still they have rights, and we should care about them as well.
And I do, and I want to be as sensitive as I can to those folks, and I'm very attuned, given all the concerns that have been raised. To answer the question directly, no, we're not changing the policies because of that, because of the risks that have been identified because of the current threat stream. We have a travel advisory to Europe now. We know through intelligence that there are determined people, terrorists, who are trying to kill not only Americans but innocent people around the world.
So when the Secretary of State says the government security experts are looking for ways to diminish the impact on the traveling public, you don't know what that is?
No, I think what she's talking about is trying to be informed by the latest intelligence to say, how can we use these layers of security in the most efficient, effective way while protecting the privacy of people and blending that with the security that everybody wants.
Let me get you to look at a couple. We have 3 sort of quick videos. I want to ask you, over the line, under the line, however you want to look at it. So here's the first one. These are from the airport, obviously. So, is that okay?
That would, yes, that's okay if it is a result of this person alerting some way through alarming on a walk-through metal detector or the advanced imaging technology machine.
Okay, next one. This is a hand obviously going inside the pants. That's okay?
That's okay around the belt line. And what we're doing here, Candy, just so people are aware that, for example, on Christmas Day with the underwear bomber, what we're looking for here is, you notice the officer with the gloves on. Those gloves will then be tested for explosive trace residue. So it's not simply a matter of physically determining whether there's something in the belt or in the waistband, but is there some explosive trace residue that can be picked up and determined to, again, prevent somebody from getting on a plane like Abdul Talib did on Christmas Day.
Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but here's the last one. Is that okay?
Yes, it's clearly it's invasive. It's not comfortable. It really comes down to what is that balance between privacy and security. And without profiling, people talk about, well, why don't we profile? Of course, we don't do that here in the U.S., but we use all the latest intelligence. We have watch lists. We know about people who pose a threat to aviation security. It's those we don't know, and so it's that balance between privacy and security.
Something from the president of the Allied Pilots Association, talking in general, not just about pilots, who said recently, there's absolutely no denying that the enhanced pat-down is a demeaning experience. Do you agree with that?
I agree it is more intrusive than it has been in the past. I think that really comes down to the person. I've talked to a number of people who said, hey, this is exactly what we need to be doing. It is thorough, and that's what I want. I want thoroughness when I get on a plane to know everybody has been screened properly. To some people, it is demeaning.
What's over the line? What's over the line? All those things were fine. You saw a woman whose breaths were being felt. You saw a man who's, had another man's hand in his crotch. What's over the line?
I think that's for the public to help inform that discussion. Clearly, if we are to detect terrorists who have, again, proven innovative and creative in their design and implementation of bombs that are going to blow up airplanes and kill people, then we have to do something that prevents that. So it really comes down to the question.
But the public didn't have any choice in this, and there is outcry. And they don't really know I know that you've driven everybody to the TSA website and said,
right,
look here, but because you don't want to reveal to terrorists what's going to be checked, there's no way for anybody to look at that website and know where they're going to be touched and where it's not allowed to be touched. And so what you seem to be saying is, you can be touched anywhere. No,
I'm not saying that at all, Kenny. There are standard operating procedures for the pat-down. So some of these horror stories I've heard are frankly inaccurate, either misinformation or whatever. There are a number of people who have been touched, as you say, patted down in a way that they never expected. So one of the things, and that's my responsibility, because I did not advertise this, if you will, to say we're going to do this new type of pat-down, because I did not want to provide a blueprint or a roadmap to the terrorists. Say, here's our new security procedure, so here's all you have to do.
But you can then understand how the public walking in here, they can't figure out what's right and what's wrong, what's okay and what isn't okay, and yet once they get in there, they have to let people do whatever they're going to do, or they get fined $11,000 and hauled out.
So again, very few people actually receive the pat-down. They would be...
Because we're worried about them.
Yeah, so if you don't alarm through the walk-through metal detector, I think everybody knows walk-through metal detectors,
right,
of course, been around 40 plus years. So everybody understands that. The advanced imaging technology is designed to detect non-metallic, so you just have to make sure you take everything out of your pockets. So if there's no alarm, there's no pat-down. So that's, again, it's layers of security. How do we best, and recognizing that reasonable people can disagree as to what that proper balance is for you or for me or for the general public. It's easy to talk theoretically or philosophically about, well, what's your proper balance? What it comes down to is, how do we actually apply it to provide that best security while respecting the privacy, as we do with the advanced imaging technology?
The incidents that we have had on planes since 9/11 had been from planes coming from overseas. The underwear bomber, the shoe bomber, they all came from overseas. Are people overseas coming into the U.S. having these sorts of pat-downs? Because I couldn't find a security expert anywhere that said, yes, they're doing this at this airport in this way, or that many of them are even using these enhanced things. So basically, 2 people came from outside the U.S. That were threats to the U.S., and now we're doing this to basically innocent American citizens, as far as we know.
So I've traveled in Europe several times in the last couple months, and I have witnessed and experienced thorough pat-downs, and I've seen a very similar type of screening that is done in several European cities, airports. So I think we're consistent, and of course we know some places around the world it's much more thorough than what we do here.
Where is it more thorough?
Well, some places that, I don't want to say particular country or
well,
airport.
the people going to the airports, no. So just like who has a more thorough?
Well, I think the Israeli model, which a number of people have talked about, uses intelligence in different ways.